this meeting to order. Roll call.
Herb Street,
I am happy to be here.
McKnight,
Here.
Moody, here, Vogel,
Here.
Kinder.
Here. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment on agenda items.
We have none.
Notice of executive session meetings.
None?
Approval of minutes.
There are none we approved last night.
Communications.
Also none.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if it's communications, but we got the notice of the zoning hearing board hearing. That's later this month. Is there an opportunity for us to, I think there's precedent for that where we've given
Your opinion?
opinions prior to the hearing? Okay. Should that be an agenda item or?
It would be, yeah.
Okay.
I
I don't
have to
know that
look
we
and see.
meet prior to
That's what I was gonna look and see.
the meeting, so it may be null and void.
I will look and see when that zoning hearing is
I think
scheduled.
it's the 19th, is that true? Something like that.
I'd have to look and see. I don't remember off the top of my head.
But we could discuss tonight because it's not on our agenda tonight.
We can amend.
Well, so,
Discuss.
yes, so technically, yes, we can amend the agenda at this point. The Supreme Court has changed the ruling that the Commonwealth Court had, and we are able to amend the agenda again if you would like to do so.
Is that something?
Sure. I don't know, I don't feel, so, well, we might have a light meeting or something. Sure, and we can, there's discussion on the motion, and if people don't agree, then that's fine. I will make the motion to amend the agenda to add a discussion of the upcoming zoning and hearing board hearing
I second it.
in new business. Thank you.
Discussion.
We not want to talk about it?
Roll call. Right?
Herb Street,
Aye.
McKnight,
Aye.
Moody, Vogel,
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye.
So at this point, the agenda's been amended. The Sunshine Law requires that we identify in the minutes what the new item was and the amendment to the agenda there. And then also to amend that, to know that it was amended into the agenda at the meeting. And then additionally, we are required to prepare a revised agenda and have that posted within 24 hours for at least 24 hours in all the places that we post the agenda prior to a general meeting, noting that it is a revised agenda as a result of the action that was taken.
And this is a discussion item.
Sorry. I did. That wasn't part of the council before.
All right. Manager's report.
A few items, just to inform council, so we have submitted for a energy manager. Again, this year, if council recalls, and new council can learn, that we went through the process with DEP last year to have a energy manager to help with some different projects. Peter Oven from Wilson Engineering was that energy manager. Wilson Engineering typically gets assigned to be the energy managers. So to help with some energy audits and different applications for clean energy or sustainable energy that we may move forward with in the future. So we have that application in, part of it.
I think that we also got word that us applying does not compete with the school district applying. If the Crawford Central School District would also want to participate in the state's shared energy manager. And so we weren't
Correct.
stepping on anyone's toes there.
Yes.
In the event that was of interest to someone else. And that's free to us,
Correct.
free expert support capacity.
There will be a Board of Health meeting scheduled for 5:30, Tuesday the 20th. That will be going out for public notice. They will have a report from Evan Kardosh, the health officer for the city, as well as Scott Barnes will be in attendance to give an update and a recap of the 2025 rental inspection status and how moving forward what that looks like. For everybody's knowledge, we've all known we got a lot of snow, and that snow has piled up around the meters over the next week. Snow removal will begin around the meters. That'll take place between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday night. 3 new firefighters started this past weekend. They will be sworn in on the 13th. I believe council should have received an invitation to that swearing in at 6 p.m. on Tuesday the 13th at the fire station. And then 2 updates on the ABC appointments. Dr. Ziegler has finished his time on MARA, the Rec Authority Board, as he is selling his practice. And so he is no longer on that board. And Marcia Yohe has resigned from the Sewer Authority Board. So there'll be 2 vacancies on the Rec Authority Board. We did receive 3 applications for that board. However, with Marcia's resignation from MASSA, we will need to post for that vacancy.
And we have the one on the Housing Authority also.
And there will be, yes, correct. Richard Zinn has resigned from the Housing Authority as well. His recognition is on tonight's agenda.
And that was posted as part of the posting at the end of last year. So there's like a whole round of interviews that are gonna happen soon.
Correct. Yep.
This would be new.
And we just have 1 seat on the Mara board.
Both seats vacant will be city-appointed
Okay,
seats,
alright.
so it'll be 2 seats.
Okay.
Does it make sense to seat the openings that we posted for at the end of the year? And follow, like, to make those appointments and then to post these other openings? So in case people applied for something where there wasn't an opening on sewer authority and they don't get put on a certain board or something, they might.
We could certainly do that. I think the staff suggestion, which could be brought before council as well, is to also take rolling applications for these in the event of such situations. But yes, we can certainly fill the vacancies we had effective December 31st, and then new applications.
Is the rolling application, would that be a change to the policy that we would consider?
Yes. Yep.
Just because you said it that way, we would take applications regardless if we had an opening, correct? Or we wouldn't accept them if we didn't have an opening?
We typically, how it works is that in the policy, it's to solicit applications during a certain time period. And then we hold on to those applications for a year. And if another vacancy comes about, then we'll contact somebody who had applied previously, ask them if they were still interested, something along those lines.
But there's a difference between accepting and soliciting for.
Correct.
So we could still be accepting applications. That's kind of what you're saying, is just
Correct,
like
yes.
open it up to rolling applications and then we
Yep.
just, instead of saying soliciting for.
Yes. Yep.
Just process.
Yep.
Okay. And how would we change that wording? Just by consensus, or do we need to vote on that, or And we'll do it another, and we don't have to do it tonight, I'm just asking.
The change to a policy.
Yeah, I think just developing a consensus and then because I don't think the policy was adopted by resolution, was
No.
it? Then just development of a consensus and directing the administration to do so.
You wanna do that?
So does anybody
Did that
object?
happen tonight?
Does anybody object? Okay, consensus developed.
Great. Very accomplished, right?
Does that change, so since we aren't like soliciting applications for openings, does that change, posting, advertising?
It would change probably the frequency of it. We would probably do it quarterly, just as like a reminder, hey, if you're interested in the event there's an opening, it'd probably be more something like that rather than at the time of a vacancy.
And if we don't have any, then we would still be able to just put it out as needed.
Yep.
Anybody have any other questions on that? You have more? Was
don't.
that it for your
That is all.
manager's report? Okay. Old business?
None?
Okay. All right, off to new business. Presentation, zoning 101.
I suggest that council tables the zoning discussions for the time being, if that's amenable.
So A through D?
Yeah.
You're okay.
She texted.
Hmm?
We tried to contact him.
He was literally, he just walked in. I saw him in here. So, okay. I just wonder if somebody should check on him.
Do you have a motion to table items A through D?
I'll make the motion to table.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Herbstreit.
Aye.
McKnight.
Aye.
Moody. Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Okay, discussion, East End School?
So this discussion is more of an informational discussion at this point to have all of council on the same page with what the discussions have been surrounding East End. As council is aware, East End School has been closed for some time as an active elementary school. The school district would like to transfer that property to the city and ultimately the redevelopment authority to hold that property for eventual redevelopment. There have been many discussions surrounding the school concerning transitioning that to housing. There have been stakeholder meetings of various entities within the city who are interested in seeing that happen. Jamie has been actively a part of all of those meetings. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to add in context of that?
I guess just that I think everybody here and in the city understands that housing is an issue and we need more, right? And what we've learned is Meadville has lots of jobs, but we need housing to get the people that are going to work at those jobs here in town to be a part of our community. So it is definitely something we're pursuing. It's the logistics that are that we're trying to work through, and East End just seems to be one of those places that seems to be a great place to put housing in. It's in a great neighborhood. We certainly would like to see buildings be used to house people and make Meadville a better place. It's just how do we do that, and in a way that works in a time frame that is useful, and the buy-in from our anchor institutions, right? And what that means. So today we had a pretty good discussion about it, and we are going to see what that buy-in is and how we can make it so that we can afford to hold a building. Holding a building means there's money coming out, that we have to make sure that it's warm, that it's taken care of, right, and it doesn't lose value. And so that's what we're working through right now, because Meadville cannot hold, foot the bill on that with. So we're looking to partner with people to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to note that there have been two paths discussed for what the housing within East End might look like. One is market rate housing, workforce housing, if you would call it that. The other is LIHTC, low income housing tax credit.
Which is also affordable housing and workforce housing.
It can
right?
also be, like that. The paths forward to pursue either look pretty different, as well as timeline of pretty different. For the city or the redevelopment authority, the holding cost per year is roughly $63,000 per year. And that eventually ends up being quite a sum of money. The LIHTC, the low income housing tax credits, it's a very long time period to pursue that avenue. Market rate, depending on anchor institution buy-in and things of that nature, a shorter time period, which means the city RDA would have less of a financial burden in holding the property. So those are some of the discussions that have been had with the stakeholder group. Some more information, some CPACE, which is a tax credit kind of development incentive.
But requires the county action.
It does require county action. The county has been at the table in these meetings. So I think there's some discussion that they need to have as well.
And of course, we've talked about, right, that piece about holding the building, right? Although it does cost money, there's talk about making sure that we get money back. It's just, we want to make sure we can afford it in the meantime, right? Like, facing the world the way we're facing it, we want to make sure that is buy-in and people are helping us pay for that. So again, that's in the conversation. But it's a beautiful opportunity to kind of steer and control how housing is built, and that it is built within our values and for the city, and the way the city wants it to be. So that's basically what I know. If you guys have questions, feel free to, or if you want more information, feel free to go ahead and ask.
So with the $63,000 to hold it, what if something goes wrong, like the heating system fails, then that goes up, right? Okay, just wanted to clarify that, like we're essentially assuming all of the expenses and everything with that. And has there been like, is this like an estimated time frame? I know you said the market housing, that would be a faster process as opposed to low income, but best case scenario, are we looking at like 3 to 5 years, if anything?
1 to 5 years,
Oh,
right?
1 to 5,
Like, yeah, I mean,
all right.
it could be, we just don't know which way we're gonna go and can't give that type of timeframe. I mean, I wouldn't bet money on a timeframe at this point until we figure out what path is the best.
Is there any agreement in writing with the developer on the project? Like, I'd be interested in kind of having some firm commitments if we're gonna hold the property.
So, no, there's no developer either.
That's terrifying.
It is
We'll sell it forever.
So, yes, so
Yeah.
what it would look like, essentially, if it was a LIHTC project, Common Roots would be a more hands-on kind of developer in that. If it was a market rate project, then the city would need to go out and submit RFPs, looking for developers, and solicit those developers to come. So yes, it is a huge risk. Common Roots would not have any role really, aside from maybe a junior developer, in the market rate process.
So again, that's, although we have been talking about it and that type of thing, we need to just kind of figure that out. Do you know what I mean? Like, we just had to figure out which way we wanted to go, period. Because this is new to the city, you know what I mean? This type of thing is new.
Is that what you want us to discuss? Like, whose decision is it to make about kind of which direction? Like, how do we get to that point to know?
That's, I
Where
think,
it's gonna
that this kind of the stakeholder group is gonna make the decision, because they're gonna have a huge part in playing in how to bring in money, how to write grants, how to solicit developers. So this, I think that this is on here as just like a preliminary, letting us know what it could happen, letting us understand that it's something that, you know, we may need to make a decision on, but it is not, right, we haven't gotten there yet, that's why it's just a discussion, and more information just needs to come in. I mean, in my opinion.
Right, I mean, ultimately, council will decide what direction it goes, because the city or the redevelopment authority will hold the property itself. Much will be informed by what anchor institutions are willing to contribute to a certain path.
So who is taking the lead on it, right? So someone's gotta call the meetings and move the thing forward, that is you, or,
Julie Wilson from Common Roots up to this point has been kind of the lead on most of this. Once, if the property were to change hands and the city would become in possession of it, then it would be me or Rena.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because
Yeah.
the redevelopment authority would hold it.
I work part-time for Common Roots. If they're the developer on this,
You would have a conflict, yeah, I mean, there's no,
discussion?
There's no vote
there's no
tonight.
vote right now. I mean, technically, if you had a conflict of interest, you would be prohibited from deliberation on the question as well. However, there's no developers agreement with Common Roots. There's no contractual agreement with them regarding this property. And so the question of whether the city should accept the property would not cause a conflict of interest, because there's nothing before us to consider whether they're going to play a role.
I will state that I am not particularly comfortable in the city taking a role in holding the property until there is a developer identified, like until there's.
Right. I would agree, the developer and time frame are huge. I mean, I attended all those meetings with the parking garage and then the budget meeting, and
Right.
it's, yeah, the $63,000 a year, it adds up if things don't go as planned, so. But I agree with Mayor Kinder, I mean, housing, the opportunity there could be great. It's a wonderful neighborhood, it's a beautiful building. So, I mean, I'm in support of discussion, additional discussion, but yeah, I think until that stuff, I'm very cautious.
I agree.
All right.
And you said 1 to 5 year term in between. Yeah,
There
that's
just really isn't, that we
Yeah, I
just,
can't
That's
tell
all.
you.
And Common Roots couldn't take it on themselves, right? No
That's-
matter what level, no matter what the direction it would go.
At this point, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yes, they don't have
So
the capacity.
there needs to be other people contribute.
Correct, yes.
all right. Do you have something else?
Well, I don't know. I hope, I know that there's not a lot of housing development here, there aren't a lot of developers, and that is part of what is hard.
Yeah.
Erie, hands, like, I'm trying to think of like what other entities exist.
Well, all of those entities
that have a
exist
presence
depending
here.
on, right, which way we go. I mean, if you think about, right, like if it's a LIHTC, then there are a group of developers that we would approach and have, but if it is private, that's totally different. So the actual conversation has to be, number one, which way are we going? Number two, how are we gonna hold it for this? And then number three, it comes into, how long will that be? You know, that we weighed our options, you know, although low-income housing is a beautiful thing. It takes a long time, there's a lot of regulation, right? It's a tough process and an expensive process to apply for grants and things like that. The other one, we just haven't even thought that way to bring, right? We've had a couple developers come in, I've got one coming next week. And so that's something we need to even start doing so we can talk to developers. Are they interested? Is this a viable project? We know we want housing. We know we want workforce housing, and what we need is just, again, this is a new thing that we're trying to jump into, right? but aren't willing to make it a burden on our tax base or the people who live here. So that's.
But we can't fully
that's what we're
control the
working.
direction unless we take control of it, right? I mean, we can kind of influence and go out and get those developers, but really we can't
If
say.
we go that way, yeah, no,
Okay.
I mean, that's just not our, unless we develop it ourselves, and that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no.
So,
No. So I will tell you, the stakeholders, present at the meeting have indicated that market rate housing is what they would like to see at that. And attracting developers, again, is contingent on some things happening at the county level, with them really implementing CPACE, and that can do a lot of things to help attract and make projects like East End a much more attractive project.
can you explain just a little bit overview of CPACE, just as you, because you said it, just a quick.
Yeah, I used to know off the top
It's
of my
a
head.
financing tool enabled at the county. It's enabled by the state, but your county has to opt
Correct.
in.
Yep.
And it allows you to kind of, that's as far as my.
It can help
Sorry.
fill funding gaps.
Yes.
It's like a loan, almost like a developer loan. And I believe it can be, paid back over a very extended period of time.
for
It
building
provides
homes,
business
energy.
property owners access to low-interest, long-term loans for clean energy and clean water projects that are repaid as property tax to benefit the community.
So typically, like, if development will include like upgrades to building systems that are new and efficient, or solar or something.
So yeah, there are a lot of variables, a lot of information that we're looking at and we need. But it is a awesome opportunity that, we'd hate to miss without looking into
Mhm.
to
I
every
agree.
piece of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think just to clarify, I'm standing, I'm excited about it, right? Like, not only is like housing, yes, on principle, something we support, but like, we have a housing action plan and it would get us like half of the way there, like, it is impactful. And so, I'm super supportive of staff and city leadership, like really steering the ship. I'm a little afraid of taking on the financial
Yeah.
liability until we've
Agreed.
got like all of the pieces lined up and we're kind of ready to pull the trigger. So, but I'm there, I'm excited. It's good.
All right.
Can I move to untable?
I was gonna say, do you wanna go to?
How do we take them off the table?
I think you could take them off the table by acclamation there, Mayor, if you wanted to return back to those items on the agenda.
I do want to return back to those items, and so I'm gonna go to
Yes.
the presentation zoning 101.
Hi. Please have my forgiveness and apologies for being late to this, and I appreciate having your attention on the subject. Zoning is a complicated one, it's a frustrating one often, and I thought it would be helpful to ease into the subject, especially for the benefit of our two newest council members who did not have the benefit of being there during its most recent update as far back as 2020, 2022, and then its eventual passage in 2024. More than a presentation, I really just wanted to open up a discussion on the issue and invite any questions on it. Zoning is a particularly powerful tool that a local government has, and critically, a local government has among its discretionary uses of local law to affect how private properties are developed and how people can use their own properties. The intent to abridge private property rights through zoning is, as everything else, for the greater public good. But the breadth and scale of what zoning can touch is pretty wide. We have a complicated zoning ordinance, and because it's been a while since it's been a little bit of a distance. We've had some issues come up over the past couple of years, such as smoke shops, games of skill, and of course citizen requests that have come in. So I thought we'd slide into it a little bit gently before these might come up all at once. So I had hoped, because of the cost of amending an ordinance and how complicated the zoning ordinance is, like the last time, that if we were to do amendments to the zoning ordinance, it would probably be effective to take them all as a stack of related amendments so they can be considered and their effects against each other and with each other can be considered rather than piecemealing and being under pressure by citizen demands to do that. So just a principle of organization that I'd like your opinion on if you want to go that route or not. I present you with a memo that I have with some topics of possible improvements for a zoning ordinance that we can go over at your leisure over time, and a few that have come up more recently that if you want to address them sooner rather than later, we can do so. If you want to table them again for a future time, we can do so. Just pause right there to digest.
Peter, I just want to thank you for preparing the memo and everything. I got a lot of notes on here, but I probably, some of these might be better discussed kind of us sitting around having a conversation about it. But I just want to thank you for providing this. You're very forward thinking, and I appreciate the time and thought you're putting into this. In the past, I guess, to kind of catch me up, have we been kind of doing more, let's say for the past 5 to 10 years, more like kind of small bet zoning, like here and there as needed, or have we recently done a major overhaul?
Recently done a major overhaul.
Okay.
The zoning ordinance previous to this one was from 1994 and updated through various amendments since then.
Okay.
The 1994 ordinance came a year after the 1993 comprehensive plan. The ideal way for things to happen is that the zoning ordinance matches a comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan includes something like a future land use plan, where the city decides where conservation areas, areas of special protection, areas of future land use, future investments in roads, infrastructure, utilities go, so that the development that happens can be optimized to the city's ability to provide those services to that. The city had a comprehensive plan in 2013 that did not result in a zoning update.
Okay.
So in 2020, I think it was, Autumn would actually know better, it was resolved with a grant from DCED to update the zoning ordinance with an increased emphasis on the city form. Traditionally, zoning, in its most basic, divides the city into districts: commercial, residential, industrial, and sometimes institutional. And residential can be further divided into like multifamily residential. That strict separation of uses into these clear boxes didn't really seem to jive with the complicated modern life and what we expect to be able to do on our own properties, like have a corner shop in a residential district. There's an increasingly popular practice in urbanist circles that this strict separation of uses is probably less beneficial to the city than are making sure that buildings are constructed in a way that complements the existing or historic character of the city. There are some questions about the scale to which that was applied in the zoning ordinance update that went so far as to say regulate how the orientation of your siding on a building to govern community character, or how much space of your building can go without a window or without a portico or another architectural features that at that time we're not comfortable going forward with, and instead scaling it back to more clearly defensible regulations in the interest of health, safety, general welfare, and the coordinated development of the city. We did do a lot of radical things back then. Sorry, long answer for a short question. Whole zoning update 2020 through 2022.
Okay.
Then again, carrying out consultant efforts to final passage in 2024. Me and the zoning officer upstairs believe that there's still some work to be done, and rather than go through 4 years of another wholesale update, just review it every now and then, and we can talk about things and see what makes sense and see what jives. Because if I slap down a 170-page document on you, things are gonna slip by just because it's too much, so.
So you have discussion for a zoning ordinance for amending off-street parking requirements, and some of the things I highlighted, like positives, like flexibility for property owners and expanding housing options, but then the negative being competition for on-street parking and parking management type things. I guess my question is, is something like that more driven by like this change in philosophy, or are there actually like developers, business owners coming to you complaining about those things kind of being a barrier for them? Because you mentioned somewhere about zoning is about removing barriers but still being like fair and consistent with things. What's kind of the driving force behind it? More of that philosophy, or is it more like, I'm hearing from business owners, we want to get rid of the off-street parking requirements? Philosophy, okay.
Practically speaking, as we were talking about the parking garage and, the requirements that I guess have been assumed for parking downtown, off-street parking in the downtown mixed-use district wasn't really required, and it also didn't really make much sense to knock down more buildings to require, parking there. But also in other residential areas, you might find that there's a row of houses without their own front-end parking, and at the same time, the street in front of that house or that townhouse has a parking lane for it. So requiring off-street parking for new construction when there's a parking lane already constructed on the street in front of it, in the interest of housing, can waste a lot of space. Because if the off-street parking takes square footage. Mm-hmm. The driveways to get to that off-street parking takes square footage. That square footage can eat up land for other development. So.
And I know there's a push for more upper floor housing downtown, right? I guess that's the idea. I've heard that a lot. People want to, but that would hinder that type of movement.
If it's strictly required, yes.
Yeah.
If there's, say, like in our mixed-use 2 district, a building that has not had an apartment upstairs in a long time, somebody wants to renovate that apartment upstairs into a residential apartment again, strictly speaking, if they had to provide an off-street parking space that would prohibit, would add expense to that, then in another jurisdiction and with strict application of the law, we'd be like, no, sorry, you need for one apartment, one off-street parking space on that same lot, therefore you have to put in this much more expense to it, and that might dissuade a developer from doing something reasonable. The key is, what's reasonable is often a judgment call, and that judgment call shouldn't be up to me. Because the point is, the zoning ordinance is your law, the 5 of you, and at the advice of our planning commission, 7-member planning commission, and subject to any appeals that might be taken with the zoning hearing board.
Now regarding the Highland Bed and Breakfast, that was Christine, I think was her name, approached us.
Yes.
You talked about spot zoning
Yes.
as being an issue, and I read your thing about the validity of zoning. It said in here that it's invalid but not illegal, meaning it's just, if somebody could challenge it, it would likely be thrown out, showing kind of its arbitrary and favoritism, correct? Is that right in saying that spot zoning isn't illegal, but it isn't, but it won't likely hold up in court? I'm just clarifying that as like the legal jargon of...
My practice, and well, the city solicitor will have much to say about it too. My practice is that whatever I understand the highest courts in Pennsylvania and the United States say to be illegal, we assume that we assume that to be
I just
legal
wanted
down
to-
here.
okay.
Yeah, we don't want to do illegal thing. We don't want to do things in our zoning ordinance that we know are likely already determined to
Correct.
be bad practice or clearly challenged. We just want to be above board on all of that. Spot zoning is one of those things. Somebody asks you to change the entire zoning map around their particular business plan. Or alternatively, somebody wants you to change the entire zoning map around their neighbor's property to prevent their neighbor from doing a specific thing. That indicates a certain level of prejudice that doesn't stand up to being in the community's best interest unless you can really, really defend why the map should be changed some way or
All
another.
right. Thank you for the clarification.
Anybody have any other questions?
If anybody wants to discuss those three specifically, since they are the agenda, this is an opportunity to do so. If you want to put those off to another time or kick them to the planning commission specifically, the best practice is the planning commission is separate from me. I help liaise as part of, to communicate and advise. I'm not on the planning commission. Planning commission is your planning commission, so by the municipality's planning code, if you want them to do work for you on the subject, by consensus, you order them to do it.
You said that twice. I just want to clarify that zoning is the people's law and the planning
approved by
commission
us.
is the people's commission,
It's
right?
appointed by
Full
us.
of community members that, we are 5 community members, right, like that are elected here, but that this is not our law and that they are not our, do you know what I mean? Like, I just want to make that clear and it, especially like zoning, Andy, some of the things that you were asking, right, is I know you said philosophy or zoning, our zoning should be around values and the need of the people, right? It has been used to exclude and to harm in a lot of places, right? And there's an opportunity to create opportunity through zoning and make things easier for people who live here to be able to live in a way that has dignity, right? Urban gardening, being able to cut hair out of their place, right? Like different things that had been excluded that we have put in or added. And it also is dictated by time and population and what people need and use. So although it seems like it's a cut and dry thing, it is never that way. And it should always be used for what creates opportunity for the people who live here and makes it harder to extract from communities, right?
My understanding is that zoning of this sort becomes more and more pressing when there's a lot of development pressure. I think we can safely admit Meadville is not really experiencing boomtown development
Yeah.
pressure like in the big cities are. Still, that said, things can change. Zoning is regulation. There's a lot of, there can be creeping in dialogue of the zoning makes things happen. No, not really. Zoning can regulate things happen, but also improve the ability for people to play the game of development in Meadville and help allow good things to happen. But it doesn't compel anybody to do. It's just rules of the game.
Right.
Just saying.
So since we do have 3 things on this agenda, I'm gonna go through them quickly because I wanna touch, because they are on the agenda as individual things. So there's a discussion, zoning ordinance, amending off-street parking requirements is, can you give us a real brief?
Yeah. In the development of the zoning ordinance update, even with a former zoning officer, we found that the minimum parking requirements per use in a giant table of it was probably never needed. Best practice in the planning profession now is that we just admit that we don't know how many parking spaces a Rite Aid needs in order to be successful, and by ordering a development to make
Like it doesn't matter.
There's
They
a
can have as many as they
there is a trade-off. Because if a Rite Aid gets it wrong, then their parking goes out onto the street and creates a crunch that eventually the city has to deal with through other regulations like meters or enforcement. So there is a trade-off there. One of the remaining requirements is that one space per, off-street space per residential unit. It didn't necessarily apply in MU3, but it applies everywhere else in the mixed-use districts. If you want to build a house, downtown on Elm Street or any other street, if you build that house, then you have to cut a curb somewhere in the city's curb and pave a path up to a driveway, or to the side or to the rear of your house. That's a lot of square footage. My understanding is that the cost of that can be a barrier to like the ultimate ease of building affordable housing, or things like accessory dwelling units. It's another dwelling unit, you gotta provide another space. So that's one that I've heard is up for discussion.
I'm gonna go through all three of these and then we can ask questions if need be. Discussion, zoning ordinance, various amendments to zoning map.
Right, and the zoning map, if you want to change any particular parcel on it, you have to put public notice, you have to advertise in addition to the hearings, you have to post physically around the area where the zoning map is gonna change. If you do a comprehensive zoning map update, you don't necessarily have to do that. But here are a few things that have come up over time, not necessarily a complete list. We have a National Register Historic District. It's alluded to in the zoning ordinance by a prohibition on electronic signs with changeable copy. Otherwise, it's not really employed for historic preservation. I gleaned that given our discussions about, say, smoke shops and redemption games, and us allowing those in the general mixed-use 3 district, perhaps having an additional protection for the kinds of sin uses that occur within our National Register Historic District, it would be useful to have that on the map and to justify any other regulations that relate to it, like the existing sign regulation that we have. Mostly a placeholder.
Okay.
Second, we did get a request in from a member of the public who owns business property on Water Street at Pine and Poplar, and argued that it is no longer reasonable to zone it as a mixed-use 2. Formerly, that block was a bunch of houses. Now one remains, and there is a large supermarket that is prohibited from expanding or its business because it is in the mixed-use 2 and is non-conforming, to my understanding. I'm operating from memory there. Immediately surrounding it are 3 business districts that are argued to be more appropriate to the present character of that parcel. So the distinction between this and other spot zoning is that it is more reasonable that expanding any of the districts rather than having an island of a district genuinely makes sense.
And then discussion zoning ordinance, amending uses to allow pet daycares.
All right. The old zoning ordinance from 1994 defined dog kennels, but turns out that since 1994, pet daycare is a thing. People drop off pets like they do kids, and they get care. And, they can be very professional, clean places that do not necessarily need to be excluded from business ports of the city like outdoor dog kennels can. We neglected to add pet daycares into the zoning ordinance and instead only defined overnight pet boarding. Instead, the principle that I'm operating by is that if you do not specifically allow a use in the district, then it is excluded. So we have a catch-all in the Economic Development Corridor District, which says business not qualified elsewhere, conditional use, go there. It didn't seem to be matching with practice if, say, former businesses like Debbie's Doggy Daycare, where it was on Pine Street before, operated without issue, and by variance of the zoning hearing board thought that it was operating fine, then maybe there should be more opportunities for similar businesses outside of what is generally our industrial district. I have a cat. We have a complicated relationship, but I'd like to have a place where it can be dropped off when I go on vacation.
Right on.
Just saying.
Right on. Does anybody have any questions for Peter on any of these three things?
So I think I think that we should go back and take them one by one. I do appreciate the fact that the action requested of council is called out for each one.
Right.
And we can ask the questions, but like if we actually look at the action that is requested and make that call.
Instead of-
I guess, feel free if there are questions coming up, but there's a lot in front of us.
And if none of this is important to you right now, you can putt. I'm not offended.
So we can take into consideration the action that is requested of us, and if we feel like we need more time or are not ready to make a call either way, we can do that.
Yeah. Alternately, one way or the other, before an actual ordinance or amendment is passed, it needs to go for recommendations for the planning commission. You can send any of these to the planning commission in advance for their opinion as well, and that'll help me craft a better ordinance that meets both our citizen advisors' advice and your values.
Makes sense.
All right, you wanted to start with the off-street parking?
So the action that's requested of council is for council to consider whether to authorize the drafting and advertisement of a zoning ordinance amendment for the reducing minimum parking requirements and eliminating minimum parking requirements for residential uses, or to provide direction to staff regarding scope, limitations, or additional analysis prior to proceeding. I've been pro eliminating or reducing the requirements for a while, so I am in favor of authorizing staff to draft that. To draft that maybe as part of the larger update.
Understood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I personally, I would love to just hear more from downtown people on that, to get their thoughts on it and everything, but I am supportive of like the idea of infill and being flexible and trying to do more with less space. So I'm in support of also moving along to kind of draft it and see, and getting recommendations from the planning commission and everything as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it. I do have some questions about the historic district overlay and also the Diamond Park Heritage, but I can ask those questions later.
Okay.
Andy, I would just say, I'd recommend to you, the Business Alliance meets Tuesday next week in the morning. I don't know if it works with your time, but Remy usually goes to those.
All right.
And then I know Common Roots has also had, run into the minimum parking requirement
I do have
issues there.
a meeting coming up with Ron Maddox in a few
Yeah,
weeks.
he's the president.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That would be a good-
Yeah,
good
that's
time
great.
to have.
That's exactly what I'm looking for, and that's what I was planning on. Thank you all.
All right, discussion zoning ordinance, various amendments to zoning map.
So the action requested of us here, council is asked to review and discuss the potential zoning map amendments outlined above, and provide direction to staff on whether to proceed with one or more individual zoning map amendment applications and/or initiate a broader discussion regarding a potential comprehensive rezoning effort.
So first, the expansion of the zone with the, and with the grocery store. Are there any, I know I'm thinking of the area, is it only a 2-block Or is it, like, is that actual zone, I don't have a map of it zone, is it, how big?
We do.
Oh, do we? Yeah, we do.
I think it's right.
It's
Oh,
just-
there it is,
yeah.
okay.
And again, this is by citizen's request.
Yeah, yeah.
You said there's
Okay,
one
here it
owner.
is here.
Business owner's
This
request.
is,
There's only one residential property there
Correct.
at this
see
time.
here.
Yes.
Yeah, so I can see,
It used to be something like over a dozen.
yeah.
And it wouldn't affect,
Well-
laws change, wouldn't affect anything to do with the residential.
No, the home there would exist as it is
Oh, it's
right
an
now.
MU2?
I'm not confident how it might affect if any other residences wanted to build there. I think it would be generally fine, but
Yeah, because
There
there's
doesn't
one
seem to be-
house there,
yeah.
right? And is that owned by the grocery store? That's what I thought.
yes.
And we're thinking of all these in the larger scale, in a broad, right? Like
Yeah.
when we change these, we're gonna change all of them at the same time.
And, yeah,
Okay. Then I'm for, well,
if you choose.
That's what is being asked of us,
Yeah,
is
if you
if,
choose.
do we want to initiate a broader discussion regarding potential comprehensive rezoning effort? Or proceed with one or more individual zoning map changes? Or I guess, do we have the option to do nothing too?
You have the option to do nothing.
Because we talked about the cost and the you know, of spot zoning or, you know, we've got a broad, or a couple of things that we're thinking about doing. In the
Those-
next couple of months, I just think that if we're gonna do them, we should do them at the same time when we,
Yeah. Those are just three. I get questions from appraisers on the phone because the zone determines the allowable uses of properties.
Yeah.
And so they want to be able to know what the property's zone is. And every now and then, for instance, the most recent one I got from that, I had to say that this house, single-family house in the GBM district is a non-conforming use on State Street, even though State Street is full of single-family houses, because that's how we zoned it. We zoned it for commercial, auto-oriented things, which tends to then say that more residential, existing residences are to be phased out eventually if we were to stick with that. That doesn't seem to be the values that I'm getting from you. So that, again, is another potential zoning map change that, to my knowledge, was not discussed before. So,
Perry, did you have questions about the historic district?
Yeah, but that's what I will talk to him
Oh,
about it, yeah. I
um,
think we've grilled you.
I just, so I'm thinking with the map change and that it should be I was gonna say like a broader conversation. We do want to do these ones that we're being asked for, either decide on them at some time in the next, you know, this year, I'm gonna say. But if we're gonna, as we make the decisions, right, I would assume that we wouldn't want to change the entire printing of our zoning ordinance and change the map until we've done a multiple ones.
yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm leaning, I guess,
Yeah.
as I used all of those words to explain that.
Sure. And again, I didn't mean to pressure you with this.
No.
This is supposed to be easy in discussion, so I can help feel out what your values are and better apply them.
Yeah, that's my opinion as we're moving through these.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, as currently the planning commission liaison, I would be interested in punting maybe to planning commission. I know they have a meeting this week, just to, right, like, is there a perceived need to do a broad rezoning map? Or can we kind of just get away, not with spot zoning, but just
Yeah.
with smaller amendments to address some of these issues, so that we're not getting in anything that's like way bigger than we actually need to do, but we can still address what's coming up. So kind of between these two options, I would be interested in getting planning commissions, which, because they meet this week, we would know by our next meeting this month, you know, if they have a chance to discuss it. right, what their recommendation would be.
Study, discuss, and learn.
What's that?
Study, discuss, and learn about it.
I would personally prioritize the ones that have been brought to you,
Yeah.
brought to you by residents and business owners as like ones, if we weren't doing to do a comprehensive one to address those first, and then move on to the other ones that kind of fit our values and everything, just so that they can, because they're losing opportunities in that process of waiting. And that's what I asked about the spot zoning and everything, because you hate to see their opportunities kind of pass by as we weigh all of these things, and I would like to try to expedite that and get those moving as soon as possible.
Yeah. I think relatedly, because you brought that up in the context of Highland House.
Yeah.
And I think when we were looking at that, it was like, well, we could either change the map or the definition. Have we given more thought to either of those options?
More likely, it's leaning towards that having limited alcohol sales as part of, say, like food service and a bed and breakfast, as an accessory use to that bed and breakfast,
Okay.
is better than changing everybody else's properties,
Yeah.
so that everybody has an expectation of
Sure.
what is allowable at a bed and breakfast, rather than change yeah.
Yeah.
In that particular, they went to a zoning hearing board and they spoke, but did we have neighbors speak against it?
Yes.
I'd be interested, right, like if we're just gonna change something like that, I'd also be interested in knowing what,
The neighbors.
yeah, or getting at least getting
Yeah, I think we were gonna get
Sure.
the minutes or.
transcription.
Yeah.
There's also an interaction with the fuzziness between what is a tavern and a bar, and what is a limited restaurant, and what is actually just food service as part of a bed and breakfast. Right now, as part of the conditions for a bed and breakfast, food service can, outside of a catered event, can only be served to the guests of that bed and breakfast. I've been to places where that's not the case, and there's, it can be a value judgment just about the scale. Is it really a tavern and bar? If there's only 7 seats and there's a condition saying that no more than 7 patrons can be served at one time and under these specific circumstances, and that lights out at 9 o'clock, like other businesses in the mixed-use 2 district, value judgments.
But it sounds like you're leaning towards amending the definition
That would be the.
in that particular.
Yeah, easiest, I think.
Yeah.
That seems like the most reasonable way to do it, if you wanted to do it.
Right.
Instead of changing the whole time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree, yeah.
Because who's to say someone else doesn't try to build something and want you to do
Yeah.
that somewhere else?
And to make things more complicated, the city is also developed by a number of allotments that were privately subdivided decades, even centuries ago, and that they have their own private covenants on them. Some like Halewood and Edgewood rezone residential, but everybody who buys into that area also buys into the restrictive covenants in that area, which can do things like restrict alcohol sales or any other development than single-family homes. At that point, if those apply, then it becomes a civil fight between neighbors. But as was pointed before, zoning often reflects what's on the ground right now, and it's a judgment whether and how we want to get to that fight. Sorry, discussion.
So, again, on the various amendments to zoning map, the action or lack thereof that we're taking is seeking some guidance and input from the planning commission.
Yeah, I think we're in consensus with that.
Cool. And then the last one was amending uses to allow pet daycares, action requested here. Council is requested to consider whether to amend zoning ordinance to define pet daycare as a use, allow pet daycare by special exception in certain districts, advise pet boarding to be permitted, advise special exception in some districts, and identify veterinary clinics as a district permitted use. I'm in favor. that.
And for the record, I have very reliable friends and family that do house sitting for my cats. I don't actually have interest in this. I don't want my cat will rip your cat's eyes out. I'm not exposing it to one of these places.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is it. Yeah. So again, I'm in favor of this as kind of part of.
Yeah.
I am as well.
Yep. So I think while the last point I want to make about zoning, and I think it's coming up in a few of these, and it is just a point that I will make, and I don't know what the discussion is tonight, but I will put it out there and maybe invite some thoughts on this. But I guess I'm wondering of how, going into a new year, we might be able to prioritize the zoning work that we do. So I think that sometimes we get a question or something comes to council and we go down a rabbit hole because we really take it into consideration and a lot happens. And Peter, you are thorough and diligent and you bring us so much information to consider, which is super, super valuable. And I wonder if there might be a way that we might, I don't know, just kind of put some guardrails up on your time and attention so that like we're making sure that like we're not kind of going down these roads really far. For instance, right, I know that you've spent so much time and energy on pet daycares because a pet daycare is trying to open up and they just asked where they're allowed to, right? And it became a whole change to our zoning ordinance. And I guess I just wonder like, how do we safeguard your time and attention?
Sure.
That's my.
I try to partially safeguard it myself
Yeah.
by seeing if there's like social merit rather than private interest alone in having these things, not just one person's business interests, but that if in the 10 years now, what would we like to see as an opportunity for anybody who wants to play the development game or wants to invest in the city. Pet daycare being one of them, where I try to see beyond that particular situation and go like, oh shoot, you know, this is a valuable thing, and I think it was a mistake, like a genuine, like we accidentally didn't consider this niche thing. But yeah, I understand. The other end to it is that you can say, you know, if you like, you can say, we passed this zoning ordinance in 2024. We'll consider our next update in 2030. See you then. That's.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I guess I'm just thinking, even to get to the point where you're making the call of like this has social merit or not, like it seems like that takes a lot of like you're pulling in a lot of information to that. And we talked about this enough.
Yeah, it's okay. Rabbit holes.
I just want to avoid the rabbit holes, right? We got all these, we got we got priorities, we can develop an entire school into a housing, like there's so much we could do, right, to deliver on some of the priorities that we've set, and time and energy is.
So if it helps you
scarce,
to know
yeah.
there as well, the East End School has been a little gerrymandered of a district to be included in the campus institutional rather than in a residential thing. You can still have multifamily units in campus institutional. In the 2013 comprehensive plan here, that area was outlined as a housing investment priority area. But that school standing out as a campus institutional thing means that there's a lot more uses other than housing that could potentially go in, whether you like it or not.
Right on. Thank you.
It could be mixed use development, is also what you're saying, okay.
All right. I'm gonna move us into F, resolution recognizing Jim Rowe. Can I have
I will make a motion to
Thank you.
pass this resolution.
Thank you. Second. All right, discussion.
Do we hear it? Is it usually brought up, or when we vote on it or something?
When you vote.
It was nice. I just want people to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. Roll call?
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville recognizing and honoring James Jim Roa for his dedicated service to the City of Meadville. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that whereas James Jim Roa has faithfully served the residents of the City of Meadville as a member of City Council over the course of multiple decades, beginning in 1978, demonstrating a deep and enduring commitment to public service and civic responsibility, and whereas throughout his years of service, both continuous and non-continuous, Jim Roa consistently stepped forward to serve his community, bringing experience, institutional memory, and a steady presence to council deliberations. And whereas Jim Roa's decades of service reflect a genuine care for the City of Meadville, its neighborhoods, and its people, as well as willingness to engage thoughtfully in discussions shaping the city's governance, finances, and future direction. And whereas colleagues and staff alike have valued Jim Roa's perspective, his practical approach to problem solving, and his ability to ground conversations in a long-term understanding of the city, along with the occasional reminder that his aptitude for real estate and property matters could certainly be missed if council ever found itself short a realtor. And whereas Jim Roa's service on City Council represents a significant contribution to the civic life of Meadville and exemplifies the importance of residents who are willing to serve their community over time and across changing circumstances. And whereas the mayor and the City Council wish to formally recognize Jim Roa's years of service and to express their sincere appreciation for his dedication to the city and its residents. Now, therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Meadville that James Jim Roa is hereby recognized and honored for his many decades of service on City Council. And be it further resolved that City Council extends its heartfelt thanks and best wishes to Jim Roa, acknowledging his lasting contributions to the City of Meadville and expressing gratitude for his commitment, experience, and service to the community. Herb Street.
That was very wonderful. Thank you, Jim. Aye.
McKnight.
Aye. Thanks, Jim. We missed.
Moody.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Resolution recognizing Gretchen Myers. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
I'll second. I'll second.
All right. No, you got it.
Discussion? Roll call.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville recognizing and honoring Gretchen Myers for her dedicated service to the City of Meadville. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that whereas Gretchen Myers has served the City of Meadville with dedication and distinction as a member of City Council for a 4-year term, and whereas throughout her tenure, Councilmember Myers consistently brought a spirit of optimism, kindness, and positivity to the work of council, reminding all that good governance is strengthened by respect, collaboration, and good humor. And whereas Gretchen Myers is widely admired by her ability to work constructively with colleagues of all perspectives, fostering thoughtful dialogue and collegial discipline making in service to the residents of Meadville. And whereas her approach to public service reflected a genuine care for the community and a steady commitment to do what was in the best interest of the city, even when discussions were challenging or complex. And whereas Gretchen Myers has chosen not to seek re-election, confirming her term, having made a lasting and positive impression on council, city staff, and the community she served. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Meadville that council hereby expresses its sincere appreciation and gratitude to Gretchen Myers for her 4 years of service to the City of Meadville, and be it further resolved that council commends her for her unwavering positivity, her ability to bring people together, and her dedication to respectful, and effective local government. And be it further resolved that the City of Meadville extends its best wishes to Gretchen Myers in all her future endeavors with gratitude for her service and confidence with her commitment to community will continue in whatever path she chooses. Herbstreit.
Aye.
McKnight.
Aye.
Moody.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Resolution recognizing Richard Zinn, Housing Authority. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Do you want a break?
Yeah, we're okay.
You're doing really well.
I'm fine. A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville recognizing and commending Richard H. Zinn for 25 years of dedicated service to the Housing Authority. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that, whereas Richard Zinn has served on the Housing Authority for 25 years, reflecting an extraordinary commitment to public service and local governments, and whereas over the course of his tenure, Mr. Zinn brought continuity, historical perspective, and careful consideration to the work of the authority, contributing to informed decision-making and long-term institutional stability. And whereas Mr. Zinn consistently approached his role with professionalism, integrity, and respect for the responsibilities entrusted to the authority and its members. And whereas his willingness to serve over an extended period of time provided steady leadership and valuable insight through evolving policies, priorities, and community needs. And whereas 25 years of service on a public board represents a significant and commendable dedication of time, effort, and civic responsibility. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that the city hereby recognizes and thanks Richard Zinn for his 25 years of service on the Housing Authority. And be it further resolved that the city expresses its appreciation for his commitment, judgment, and contributions to public service and extends best wishes in his future endeavors. Herbstreit.
Aye.
McKnight.
Aye.
Moody.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Resolution authorized signatures, STMP grant accounting software.
Motion?
I'll second.
Discussion?
So I'll take the lead on this one.
Right.
So as we know, technology is constantly changing, and we had a stamp study back in, I believe, 2020. And part of that study was a list of things that the city needs to update. And with that comes grant funding. And we have a desperate need for new financial software. We consider it a step above DOS, for those of you who remember DOS program and the wonderful blue screen. In 2024, we upgraded it to the cloud, but nothing changed. The program is still way behind the times. Also with this is fire department and the code enforcement has found a program that they can both use and be on the same page with city properties. So when fire goes in to do an inspection, if code is going in and inspecting or has notes on a property, it's all in one place collectively. And this is also listed under the stamp study also. So we are applying. The application is due January 10th. We hope to know by the end of February, beginning of March, and hope to have implications moving forward and be set up by the end of 2026.
So it's accounting software and then the software
Mhm. Yep,
that is
it's two
separate for
different
fire
programs.
and
Yep.
code.
Yep.
So it says here, reduce annual cost by $7,000 and improving coordination and efficiency across departments. Sounds great. It's my love language.
So the 7,000 savings is a very conservative figure because we also have programs that are being used that are no longer supported. So a lot of those programs are gonna fall under the new accounting software, but there's other programs that departments use, like schedulers and things like that, that I would like to upgrade, kind of a good clean sweep across the board. But right now, just the financial software alone is over a $10,000 savings annually.
Fantastic. Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah.
So we're submitting a grant application to the state as like a follow-up to the strategic management planning program. If we don't get it, do we stay as is? Is there?
Right now, yes, because the implementation of a new software is horribly expensive. So this is what that is covering. By horribly expensive, it's $95,000 to implement. So Plan B will have to be found. I have worked with the state already. They feel that it should be a clean approval. We are applying for a hardship, so typically there is a match with stamp funds. We are applying for a hardship. Right now, they're telling us anything under 20% is typically approved right away, so we're applying for 15% match.
Is that what the 17K
Mm-hmm.
is? So so the full grant amount is actually 95?
It'll be over that, yeah.
Okay,
But the match is the 17.
okay. Should the resolution language reflect the full grant or just the local contribution?
It should reflect the whole.
The full grant.
Okay, which is, how much did you say, 90?
95 for just the accounting plus 25, so 130.
So we're submitting a grant for 130, and the 17 is what we put in, just under 18 is our
Yeah,
match.
that would be our match.
Gotcha, okay. That makes sense. I was like, this is so cheap. I was like, why would we just do it anyway? Not that it's not
Right,
cheap.
and then when
Nice
you said
catch.
95.
17,000 is
Yeah.
very different than 130, so,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
thank you. Got it.
And that'll be reflected, like that'll be changed before there's a signature needed. Okay. All right. Roll call.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make the note so I can read it.
Yeah.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville authorizing submission of a strategic management planning program grant in the amount of $17,881.
130,000.
130.
Oh, I'm just gonna put the 130 there, sorry, I was gonna, okay. Let me revise that. A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville authorizing submission of a strategic management planning program grant in the amount of $130,000 for finance software. Herb Street,
Aye.
McKnight,
Aye.
Moody,
Aye.
Vogel,
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Public comment on non-agenda items.
We have
We have-
one.
To do this,
The zoning item.
Right, I amended this.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you. Great, we got notice that there's a zoning hearing board hearing this month. A local developer, is trying, there's infill development on the table. It looks like a multifamily,
So this is a zoning variance request for 699 Alden Street. The hearing would take place Thursday, January 15th. So this is proposing a development of 2-unit residential structure for affordable housing under Section 8 Choice Voucher Program. Currently, this location, 699 Alden Street, is located in the R1 district, which permits only single-family dwellings. So the request for the variance is to actually permit the dual dwellings at the address. Obviously, as part of the variance request, they have to submit justification. That's been justified according to the developers based on affordable housing needs, minimal neighborhood impact, alignment with the comprehensive plan, and that this is a hardship. Without the variance, they would not be able to develop this property.
So I wanted to discuss it here because I was excited to see that someone was gonna try to build new multifamily housing and that they would commit it to Section 8. We have a shortage of landlords who are accepting Section 8. And at least in Google Street View, the houses nearby are at least all duplexes, if not more multifamily home. I didn't get a super clear answer about how that was allowed. So anyway, I would be interested in kind of just conveying to, who, is it zoning hearing
Zoning
board?
hearing
Who
board.
hears a zoning variance? Okay, to zoning hearing board that, you know, council is supportive of the application for
I would
infill
agree,
development?
yeah.
That's what I'm putting
Yes.
out there on the table.
So is your motion then to, or this was only for a discussion item, so it appears that a consensus has developed that council is in support of the application for a variance, and that it's my understanding that you're requesting that a letter be sent on behalf of council to the zoning hearing board indicating as such.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
So,
Both properties on either side are duplexes, correct?
I know on one side there is, the right side.
They're both multifamily. It looks like the one is a duplex. The other one might have actually more than
More?
2
Okay.
units, but they're both multifamily on either side immediately on Alden Street. It's kind of a mixed, the neighborhood, there's
Wait,
single
can
family.
you
I'll
just-
ask you that question.
It's like where Alden meets
How does that
Arch,
happen?
that
Oh,
V
look at the two
right
houses on
there.
the right going out.
Okay.
Okay.
There's an empty lot, there was a house that burned a couple
Right.
years
Yeah,
ago, and it's
yeah.
just an empty lot.
That's where
now.
they,
And that's where
I
they
see,
live.
okay, yeah, I can dig that. I just needed to, again, visualize where that was. So for the for consensus and for the discussion, do we wanna, that's all we need, we don't need to do a roll call? Okay, so we're just asking staff to write the letter for the board, okay, great. Thank you. And thank you for reminding me about that, that was in the beginning of the meeting, I feel like we've been here. So I forgot that we amended the meeting. Okay, public comment on non-agenda items.
We have none.
Okay, council member statements, we'll start with Andy.
I just want to recognize the hard work of our city departments. Mary Ann gave us a report from November. I know the numbers haven't been crunched yet for December, but the Public Works, 410 hours of snow removal, 340 hours of park maintenance, which includes decorating for Christmas. So this is in November. Police Department, 1,542 calls. Fire Department, 236 emergency responses, 321 total responses, activities, inspections. I mean, they're working hard, and I appreciate the effort of those departments, and I want to recognize them and thank them. Also, newest full-time probationary firefighters, Devin Sikorsky, Teddy Ernst, Braden Bosco, 2 of these kids I had in class/coaching. I was excited to see them. That's awesome. I love seeing they're back in town. And speaking of the Bulldogs, Jacoby Thompson, 100 career wins in wrestling. Tymir Phillips selected All-State football. 2 former athletes of mine that I'm very proud of, and I'm very proud of being Bulldog supporter. And also, if you're making any New Year's resolution, I would recommend each month in 2026, visit a locally owned downtown business you have never been before or haven't visited in the past 6 months. I went to a restaurant this weekend, kind of holding myself accountable to that, and really enjoyed it. I don't know why I haven't been there in over 6 months. They need your help. Every $100 spent at a local store, almost $53 circulate back within the community. I know I'm not anti-chain stores, I'm just saying, Right. try to get some new businesses in your rotation.
Right.
They would appreciate it. Downtown, we need that. That's really what's going to help us thrive, is people making it a habit to stop downtown and support them. And thank you again, everybody. Peter, especially with all the questions around zoning.
Thanks, Andy. Mary?
Peter, thank you so much for all of this. It was very informative. I do still have a lot of questions, but we can do that later due to time, and I don't want to hold anybody else up any longer. But other than that, I just thank everybody for just welcoming us and embracing us, and here's to a whole new 4 years. So, That's all.
Thanks, Mary. Larry?
Yeah, again, thank you. You're welcome to both of you. As I said the other day, I'm really looking forward to working with both of you because I sense and feel the bright ideas, new ideas and suggestions, and that's what we need on city council. And to show your love for the town again. And I'd like to thank Mary Ann and the staff for the work that they do. We just heard a little bit of what Peter does or what Mary Ann does. They're here a lot of times when everybody else is home. So thank you for what you guys do. I really appreciate it and want you to know that it doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you, Larry. Autumn? Yeah, Happy New Year. Welcome. Miller here. I'll echo the thanks. Particular Public Works. I had the pleasure of like just being snowed in over the holiday and just thinking like, oh, how cozy this is. But like, man, they had to work so hard for the last several weeks. We've had such a rough winter already. And so many thanks to the staff of the Public Works Department for keeping our streets clear and safe and allowing people to get to where they need to get to so they can celebrate or visit family, get to work, whatever it is people have to do. People notice it when it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
People don't notice it when it does happen, so thank you for doing it. You're also handling some stuff today at the Market House. I was in there when there was some other snow-related things going on, and so thanks to Public Works for getting that done. While I was in the area, I also kind of went upstairs of the Trust Building where you can see the solar panels on top of the DEP building, which was pretty cool. So they're there, they're ready, they're covered in snow right now, but they can be brushed off. And but that's exciting. I'm excited that we'll work towards some sort of kind of public recognition of the completion of that project. Also excited for some of the other things coming down the pike with the Environmental Advisory Committee in particular, and like really appreciative of staff for kind of being open to some of the conversations and ideas and the work that's coming up there. I'm excited for this year. Grateful to city management for moving things forward, and grateful for the folks who have served. We recognize them tonight with resolutions. But you know, whether it's in a paid capacity or a volunteer one, kind of we need more people who are willing to give their time and energy to public good, to public life, and to be active citizens. So much gratitude to Jim for all his time over many years, to Gretchen for her time and energy these last 4 years, and to Richardson, who we also recognize tonight. To volunteer for something for 25 years is remarkable. And so thank you, Dixon, for your commitment. Thank you all for your commitment. Thank you all for your commitment.
Thank you, Autumn. Just to put that 25 years in perspective, like, I have a son that old. I mean, like, I've known him for that long. It feels like a really long time. I like that we're like thanking you guys. That's kind of a cool council member statements. I am extremely, like, I'm very prideful when it comes to getting to see the stuff like our Public Works does. You know, they not only can they build a shelf in an office, but they turn on the tree when we count it down, right? Right? You throw magic
They can do anything.
snow and it just like comes on. Like a city is not run on magic and it is not run on wishes, right? Mm-hmm. It is absolutely hard work and it takes a lot of really hard working people to do it. And what I've seen in the last 4 years, right? I've seen the city switch from being run on a skeleton, right? Being run on nothing, and now being run on values and on full compliments and on new ideas and big ideas and the will of the people, right? Like really looking at the people that live here and doing things for what brings them opportunity, and that's a big deal to me. That's amazing. And a lot of cities don't get to have that, and we have that because we have hardworking people willing to do the work to make it happen for people. Life is not easy anywhere. It is not easy in Meadville, but it is really amazing to live in a place where people care about you and they care about your values and they want you to do well. And it makes it a little bit easier when you get to walk downtown and people are noticing that vibe is different, that living here is different, that people feel like they're closer to their city and their city cares about them, right? That's maybe unheard of, right, in our parents' lifetime, but it is daily life here in Meadville, and I am proud of that. I am proud of what we do and how we do it and why we do it. So I just appreciate everybody. Thank you for doing the hard work and being here and caring about this place and raising your babies here and walking your dogs here and, like, I know it doesn't sound like that. Oh, right? Or your cat, you're having your cat here. It is important because we live here. So, yeah, Meadville's a cool spot. We're doing our best, man. And with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Herbstreit.
Aye.
McKnight.
Aye.
Moody.
Aye.
Vogel.
I know.
Kinder.
Aye.